Well, you didn't start in entrepreneurship space, so you started as a lawyer. Is that correct?
Yeah, law school.
Well, it's kind of funny because when I was little, I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I look at it now, I would have been the most miserable lawyer ever because I hate paperwork. I hate all the little details like that. I mean, a lawyer's real job is to look at the fine print. I mean, 90% of law work is really just finding the easy, either making it or finding it or whatever else and just going through all that. I was watching A Few Good Men, and I'm like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer,
I think we all did in that movie.
So, well, for me, though, I would have been a miserable lawyer, so I'm so grateful I didn't ever go that route. For you, at what point did you decide to make that shift from like, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer to now I'm going to go into business?
My third year of law school, so I was going to be a sports agent. That was the path. Had a job lined up with Lee Steinberg's sports agency, and I was going to be Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to be. Couldn't play professional sports. I figured let me still be associated with sports. And I met my fiance, and who's now my wife, and we had a little daughter that when I met my fiance, she had a little daughter. She was an infant, and fell in love, so now I became immediately a dad. And my third year of law school and realized I didn't want to travel the world representing grown-ups. I wanted to be a present dad. I wanted to be home. And so at that moment I realized, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. So I graduated law school, 6 figures in law school loans, and no idea what the hell I was going to do with life. So I got a job.
So you never actually went into law once you graduated law school?
I was a certified intern at the public defender's office for 6 months, but no, never.
It probably helps you a lot in business, though. I mean, you're doing something, especially right now, you're franchising your company. I mean, you got, all these different, all you do is have paperwork written up, and it's probably nice to be able to read it yourself.
Yeah, you still don't trust yourself to do that.
For sure.
I'm still going to pay a lawyer.
Yeah.
But what it actually does, and I think if I could suggest that people go to law school for one reason, it's for the analytical approach, because what's really cool about law school is the exams are not traditional like collegiate and high school stuff where it's like, did Bobby cross the road? Yes or no? It's, did Bobby cross the road? Argue both sides. And so you have to continuously put yourself in the side of the argument that you actually don't believe in and build a compelling argument or case with a set of facts and display it. So what that does in business is it allows you to see what your adversary or what your person you're negotiating with may be thinking and be understanding and empathetic of their position, build a position on that side. And then if you can do that on both angles as a business owner, you can manipulate that to your benefit.
Wow, and just in general in life, that's such a good thing to be able to go through that exercise and have that. No, it's funny. I interviewed recently a sports agent on my podcast, and he did like the contract for Austin Riley, and he helped with Pujols and some of these bigger ones back in the day. And it's funny. I was friends with a couple professional athletes, and to be their agent, like you were just at their beck and call. I mean, you were a bitch boy for at least 10 years before you ever really get much going. I mean, I looked at that because it was one of those things that kind of intrigued me too. I read a book called A Shark Never Sleeps by Drew Rosenhaus. Yeah.
One of my favorite books.
Same. And it's just such a good business book. And I remember reading that. I was like, oh, that would be fun. And then I started thinking about what they actually do. And I'm like, oh man, I definitely would not have done well with that. But
I'm so glad, by the way, you mentioned that book because you're the only other person I know who's ever read it, and that is literally one of my top 3 favorite books.
Oh, same. It's one of the 5 books I recommend to anybody getting into business. He wrote it when he was in college, and just the mentality that he had as he's writing this book, you're like, this freaking guy, but he pulled it off. And he knew he was going to pull it off before he ever did, and that's why it's such a powerful book.
It's so good. Like if you haven't read it, read this book.
Yeah. No, it's one of those ones I like to give to people because no one's ever heard of it.